of the biggest draws at a reenactment event is of course the combat. The clash of steel, the spectacle of armed warriors clashing in melee. And thus we have the weapons demonstration, a visual guide to weaponry in our period, as well as a chance for our fighters who aren't still hungover to get an extra fight in. I now pass you over to Phil and Charlie Milton from Drac Bjorda for our weapons demonstration. Phil and Charlie, take it away.
So we're going to be doing a bit of a arms and armour talk for the period of the 9th to 11th centuries. Not everything here is specific to the Hastings period. This is what we kind of had available, but we're still going to take you through it. For example, my kit is not Hastings specific, it's a bit earlier, but he's actually covers the whole range of areas. So
this is Irish kit from from almost about 1,000 years of Ireland. But this is what I'd usually wear for Viking Age reenactment, but not necessarily for Hastings.
So we'll take you through, and in Dispose for each one we'll also do a weapons demo for each one. So we'll describe the weapon and then we'll go through how it's actually used, shivving people. Cool. Okay, so we're going to be starting you off with the Sayax. It is a kind of like a small to long fighting knife, characterised by its broken back, essentially, in this lovely little angle. Everyone in the would have probably carried one of these. It's a tool, it's a weapon, it's everything you need it to be when you need it. You can imagine, the shield walls all locked in, spears got a bit too close. You draw this cheeky little fellow. You go below, cut the back of the leg, the groin, face with it. Very close, very nice, nasty thing to fight with. I've got kind of I describe one as a medium length one. This is probably much more of a smaller one, you can see. And Domnall here has got a long boy.
Yeah, this would be called a langsax, meaning like long knife, long sax, and you can tell that's still part of the sax family. It's got the broken back here. This would be blunt, and this would be a nice sharp edge here. These were usually seen as like a cheap alternative to swords. So almost like bridging that gap between a sax and a sword. But yeah.
Go.
I'm going to take you through axes. There are so many different types of actual blades. So the one I have in my hand is actually a tool. It's an axe for planing or planking. It's not actually a proper fighting axe, which is in reenactment stage. So you can kind of show that axes were tools and weapons. You have something to specifically use for actually killing in no other purpose, like this one, with a beautiful little beard there, used for hooking over shields, limbs, and loads of horrible things. So you got them designed for actually killing people or tools, and you would basically grab what was to hand. The Fyrds called up, goes north, kicks the shit out of some Vikings, comes south, you grab what you have. Everyone's got a little axe, everyone's got a little sax. Pretty much a nice basic weapon. It's a good killing tool.
Exactly, and these are reenactment axes as well. So you can see they obviously are a lot more rounded on these edges. The beard can be a bit more pronounced, can be more angular. It'd be better for catching that way, but the shape obviously has to change a bit when using for reenactment.
Go.
Okay, so now we're talking about spears and javelins. These kind of polearm, these weapons here. You can see here I'm holding what we think more of a single-handed spear, often used in conjunction with shields. And you can see this one's actually a sharp, this one, so we'll also use this in fighting. Small head here, great for throwing and for use with the shield, or stabbing, thrusting, perhaps even slashing the side here. We can see here what Ivar's holding. These winged spears, these boar spears, as often called. Longer head on them, very good at hewing, for slashing, for getting behind legs, knees, underneath shields, and towards the face, of course. Longer shaft on this, we use two-handed. There's often depictions of people having shields strapped to them, holding these two-handed. You can see that for reenactment, the shafts are quite large, they're quite wide. We think maybe during a period it might be a bit thinner, but we have to have them a bit wider so they don't break all the time.
Or you have in the historical records where people are breaking spear halves over their knees, which you wouldn't be able to do one of these. But
No, well, pretty strong knee for that.
Yeah. Okay, now we're going to talk to you about swords, very much as a status weapon. As you can see, very flash, very nice. Lovely pommel, crossguard. You can see basically the handle or hilt is about the size of my fist, which most of them will either maybe a little bit smaller, but we have them a bit larger for reenactment so we can wear our proper combat gloves and not get our hands absolutely wrecked. So very much as a status weapon. It's something only the richest of people would carry, but that changes as you go on through the period as metallurgy gets better and they get a bit cheaper and you start seeing them more and more later on, but early on, yeah, very flash, very dangerous. You can imagine it being used kind of a bit like a long axe. You have a much more of a cutting edge and a nice stabbing point, but there are many stories of swords specifically catching in the rims of shields, because shields are much thinner than when we use for reenactment, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, beautiful weapons, very dangerous, but it has to be used in the right situation. Now we're going to talk about long axes or broad axes. They are also called in the community Dane axes, though most people now in academia refer to them as broad axes now. This one is a very long haft. This is what you would see in like the Bayeux tapestry of the Anglo-Saxon huscarls, and they got a fearsome reputation that day. There's stories of the huscarls weaving these things in the figure eight, disemboweling, decapitating and ruining every Norman's day that came near. There's some stories of them going through the rider and even into the horse. This length, yeah, Anglo-Saxon huscarl, though from earlier periods they would be a bit shorter. So you're probably looking more at that length of haft for earlier periods.
Yeah, or a little bit longer. It's
A
quite a
little
bit
bit longer.
short.
So
And the head's quite small as well.
Yeah. This is an absolute monster of an axe head, though some of them are bigger. This is a type L axe head, and then you have the type M's, which are much larger. You can see it's got comes up to a beautiful smile with a point and a very slender beard. So the hat head top stabby bit could even kind of be used like a spear in that scenario, while this spear here could be used to hook shield, stab people in the face, and cause all kinds of mischief.
So, you know, these are probably more like what we like to call boarding axes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really lump this in with the same category as this.
Yeah.
You know, Dane axe, board axe, that kind of thing. But it just goes to show how different and how varied these weapons can be. You know, similar head. I know this one's smaller and more rounded, but changing the haft length can change the entire technique that you use of the weapon, or the use of the weapon.
Now it's my turn.
I don't know why, but like Domnall's been like really slow today. It's probably the subway he ate. He's not really good with bread. Could be like a soy drinking beta cook though.